Hey y'all, how's it going? It's like 3 hours till the course closes. Can you see that? I think you can. Yeah. And I'm very tired. I've been kind of, I think it's an old unhealthy habit actually. I'm kind of overexerting myself in a way that I don't even actually think is that helpful in trying to share about the course, but at least I'm trying. So at midnight tonight, Pacific time, less than 3 hours from now, the 2025 How to Build Abundance in Crypto course, the live version, which I committed to teaching once per year 5 years ago, it's going to close. That link is in the description if you're interested in joining. It's effectively free because you get seeds when you pay in full up front. You get seeds anyway. There's also a monthly payment plan, but that's a little bit more. That means it costs a little bit. It's nominally more expensive if you go with a monthly payment plan, and it supports a good cause. It sustains our mission so that seeds can do the work that we do to help people in need around the world. You're going to start seeing a lot of stuff, probably, like if you aren't already, from a bunch of crypto people and things. I don't consider myself to be a crypto person. I don't have any interest in defending cryptocurrency as a sector whatsoever. I do this to promote, I don't even like that word. I do this to share about seeds because we need to get out of the trap of the old economic system. It's obviously not working. The people that are benefiting from it most are like fake geniuses with like fake billion-dollar valuations. It's just a mess. We can all see like the writing's on the wall, and that it's a lot of stuff that isn't real, that is propped up by privileged men helping other privileged men kind of thing. And I think a lot of us feel stuck in it because why wouldn't we? Because we haven't seen that there were other options. So seeds is another option. And the course sustains seeds for the time being within the present reality so that seeds can continue to do the work that we do to support people in need. We can continue working to scale our ecosystem, which allows giving, generous people to build wealth, to see actual financial benefits because you are kind enough to help others. Because doesn't that make for a better economic system if it's the generous people who are building wealth because they were kind, instead of like the fucking faker, liar, whatever? Like, I was just watching a video about AI and how not real it is, and it just reminded me of how dumb the world of tech is, and it's fueled by late stage capitalism, obviously, in the form of venture capitalist. And it's just, it's like, it can make me really, I don't know. I think it can be very, it can induce feelings of despondence, but at the same time, it's also so hilariously, ridiculously bad that it's whatever. But there's also the reality that we still need money. Money itself isn't evil. Money isn't laughable, whatever. It's like it's a medium of exchange. It's helpful. It's necessary. And so seeds is creating other ways for us to engage with money that are about rewarding those who are kind and incentivizing kindness, which just doesn't exist in the old economic system at all. I mean, you can get tax breaks for making donations to nonprofits, but nonprofits wouldn't even need to exist if the for-profit system wasn't designed in such a way that it assumes that everyone is exclusively acting out of self-interest at all times, which we know isn't true, especially for women. All that said, I am a trader. I used to be a pro stock trader. I traded on Wall Street. I figured out ways to be profitable when the markets were crashing in 2008. And I started buying Bitcoin at $90 a coin roughly in 2013. So I can share knowledge about like navigating the existing economic structure, including what's currently going on in the world of cryptocurrency, which a lot of which takes place on centralized platforms like the one I'm about to show you. And those platforms look very similar. I guess we can hop onto it right now. This is the evil platform Gemini. I'm so sorry I'm showing you their platform because they're terrible. They stole a lot of money from me. But the reality in the current system is that there are literally no good centralized cryptocurrency platforms, like, at all. So I'm kind of torn because the course The course closes at midnight, like I said, Pacific today. Well, technically tomorrow if it's midnight. It closes just before midnight, so it closes today in a few hours. And then next week I'll start teaching it. And I'm going to have to say, like, choose whatever centralized exchange you want. All of them are terrible, all of them are very bad. So, to start, like, if you're using one, we are still in a situation in which most of us have to use them to trade our local currency for cryptocurrency. So just get your money off of them as soon as possible is kind of the only way to engage with them, like, semi safely. It's such a, I can't wait for all of that to collapse. And they really fucked me over, like, bad. This thing with Gemini was, I won't even go into it here, but mm, it's just crazy to see the way that even the legal system, is dominated by these billionaires who aren't smart necessarily at all, even though they position themselves and they want you to believe that they are. And it's just like a lot of money going to leveraging lawyers who receive a lot of money. Like, I don't know. I have so much. I don't know that I ever really respected the legal profession per se. Rule of law is better than rule of tyrant, but rule of law only makes sense if the laws are just and if they're applied in just ways. And that wasn't what happened in this case, but I'm going to keep fighting it. Anyway, I thought today that it would be kind of fun to look at what's up with this because Ether specifically just started running like 2 hours ago or so. Bitcoin keeps breaking all-time highs. It got up to, we can look at the price on a couple different graphs. This is the graph that you literally just see if you Google the Bitcoin price. So, and we can kind of see how bad. Okay, this does at least say, okay, it's saying 111.38, but it was up above that. Let's see, maybe it'll show if we look at this, it'll be better. Yeah, this is showing 111, 7:11:20 just after midnight. I'm assuming this is Pacific time because I'm on Pacific time today. So yeah, it's been breaking all-time highs over the past few days. And what we've seen with Bitcoin prices in the past is that when that starts happening, as I mentioned in recent lives, we get this hype cycle going, and then it's like it tends to just keep going. Historically, it wants to keep going. And then what's invariably happened is that some dude on a shady cryptocurrency project, working on a not great project, will do something negative that often defrauds lots of users. And then the prices will go down because there will be all of this negative press and more uncertainty and so forth. But the reason I'm sharing that has happened at the end of cycles. We're like toward the beginning of this cycle. Bitcoin seems to just want to keep going and going until those negative forces have introduced themselves in previous cycles. And so we could be seeing, we'll see. I mean, past performance doesn't guarantee future results, etc. But we could be seeing increasing, like, continual breaking of highs for a while. But yeah, it's a little different now. The climate is different because institutional investors have really heavily invested in Bitcoin over the last, I'd say, I mean, late 2023 into now. So last year and a half or so. And that is holding up the price. It's propping up the price in a way that didn't exist in previous market cycles. Technically, a year and a half ago, we were in a previous market cycle. Um, but so what's been kind of interesting in relation to that is that Bitcoin has always been and still is a barometer for what's going on in the cryptocurrency sector at large. And what we would often see, I thought to an extent that was it was too much that way in like the last market cycle and prior to that as well. We would see kind of like everything moving with Bitcoin. Every cryptocurrency would move with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's the oldest cryptocurrency. It's the pioneering cryptocurrency. It's the true innovator in a lot of ways. So to some extent, you would expect that to be the case, but it just seemed like it showed a lack of maturity, I guess, in the sector. I especially thought this in the last market cycle. It seemed like there should have been more savvy investors who had an awareness of the distinctions between different good quality cryptocurrency projects, and therefore, like the prices should have been moving more independent of Bitcoin. But that wasn't really happening. But this market cycle so far, especially like we really saw this, this was really highlighted when Trump's stupid tariffs knocked the market back like less than 2 months ago. We saw that Ether, the number two cryptocurrency by market cap, was a lot, it really got beat up, but it's never gotten really too close to its all-time highs. Bitcoin has kept breaking its all-time highs, and in the past that would have meant that Ether would have been doing the same thing, but it hasn't been. So if we go back on this platform here, this is showing you the price of Ether in USD. And let me just make sure you can see everything. Yeah. So what is significant here is that Ether is nowhere near its all-time highs. Its all-time highs are over $4,800 a coin. This graph is like, it's dog shit. It's so terrible. It's gotten way, like they made their product even worse than it was before in terms of its utility. This graph doesn't do basic things that I want it to do and that anyone who looks at a graph would want a graph to do. So hopefully I can at least show you this. And also, see, look at this. Why does it look like this? This isn't helpful to anybody. If I minimize it, it still looks like totally unreadable garbage. So Geminis, I look forward to your downfall. Again, I'm only using this platform because there are no good platforms. Their like trading fees are better slightly than what you might find on other platforms. What I wanted to show you was that like late last year, December 2024, when the crypto bros thought that Trump's election was going to be good for cryptocurrency as a sector, prices were going up. And even then, as Bitcoin started getting closer and approaching its all-time highs, Ether only got up to like 4,000 bucks, which is not that close to its all-time highs. It's still what, 20% off of its all-time highs? Um, is that how math works? All-time highs are over 4,800, as I mentioned. So, see, look at this graph. It's such, I'm sorry to complain about terrible capitalistic billionaire founded products that are garbage, but I can't help myself. We can see here that, yeah, so December 2024, you can kind of see that it was around 4,000 there. It also got up to around 4,000 in March of 2024. Not quite as far up in June of 2024. This was because of what was going on with the fourth Bitcoin halving, which happened on April 20th of last year. That's been what's kicked off the market cycles that we've seen in the past. It happens roughly every 4 years. But even then, as Bitcoin was breaking all-time highs, Ether couldn't really get much above 4,000 USD per coin, even though its highs were nearly $5,000 a coin. And with what the dumb stuff that Trump was doing with the tariffs, it really took a beating. It dropped. And what was interesting is that, like I was touching on earlier, like two hours ago or so, a little more than that, it started to kind of run. Why can you see nothing on this graph? I just feel like sometimes, do y'all ever feel like this? I feel like I'm in this comical, like the world is so ridiculous in terms of the men, they're almost all men, aren't they? That have power and how bad they're doing at everything and how it's negatively impacting the rest of us. Like, I kind of can't believe it. I don't need to see that my orders are here like this. Oh, I just want to show you like how these movements are working and talk a little bit about my strategy. And I thought I could at least do that on this platform, and it's not even making that easy for you to see. I don't need to see this here. I don't want to cancel my order. Wow, I hate them so much. All right. Well, what I would love to be able to show you, perhaps I can show you kind of on here, but this graph, I mean, yeah, you can kind of see here, I guess. So if we're looking at that, you can see that, right? Yeah. Okay. So, this makes me think it must be on UTC time, right? That seems, I think UTC is 8 hours ahead of where I am though. Or is that right? Current time, UTC, 4:18 a.m. Yeah. So this is on UTC actually. All right. So that means it's 7 hours ahead of me right now. So like 2 a.m. on this graph would be roughly 7 a.m. my time. Yeah. So right around here. This is the movement that I was talking about that started around 7 p.m. my time, Pacific time. This graph, I don't think is pulling data super frequently, but we can see that there's this spike. It started to run up in price. And so that was fun and exciting to start to see. And I thought, even though I'm typically not very actively trading cryptocurrency most of the time these days, especially over the last year, I thought maybe I would do so because there was the spike. I thought maybe I would do what's called taking some profits and maybe sell a little bit. But I wanted to do so with a little bit of caution because this is like a delayed run up, right? Like Bitcoin keeps breaking its all-time highs. That is for sure what's influencing Ether's price. It's certainly a factor. And I didn't want to get on the wrong side of this where I'm selling and taking profits, but then I'm missing a bigger move in case it keeps going, to kind of start trying to catch up to where Bitcoin is getting to. And so I was doing this with a measure of caution, but you can see here, like down here at the bottom, I can show you my trade history just tonight. And I have a bit of Ether here you can see, and some fiat currency, US dollars as well. So you can see here, great, this, okay, it is scrolling a little bit. Yeah, so these are the trades I made today. I sold some at 27.24. So just under, it was 27.24.99, just under 27.25. This graph is not functional. This isn't a 30-minute graph. Like they shouldn't look this similar. This graph is out of overtly malfunctioning. And I just, because I had to remove those things so we can actually see the graph because I wanted to remove them, that canceled my limit orders. The design it's just like mind-bogglingly bad. Doesn't do basic stuff that a trader needs it to do. I sold just under 27.25. This graph I think won't really show you either. But I guess it will. Okay, you can see here 27, according to this graph, 27.26.16 was the sort of a relative high here. It got up right around that level again here. So I picked that level pretty well based on what the graphs are telling us so far, taking some profits at 27.25 or so as I did, just below 27.25. According to this graph, that was a pretty good place to take some profits. And I bought back a little bit just above 2,700, as you can see here. 2702.92, 2702.81 are the two prices I got filled at. Right now it's at 2707. The last filled trade that we can see here on the graph is 2707.94. So it's just kind of hanging out here, and I'm kind of hanging out too. It feels like there was that bit of a move. I'm wondering why that happened at that time. Like, who are the people making those trades at what would have been, 10 p.m. Eastern time, and like it's the middle of the night UTC. So I guess maybe it's Asian markets that were driving this, but I don't know. I don't know. But it kind of feels like the momentum is just chilling for right now. And Bitcoin itself is pulling back a little bit. So we can see here it's dropped below 111,000. So it looks like people are generally taking some profits. So I'm just going to kind of sit on this, I guess, it's sort of at this in-between level right now. And if we get some more momentum, I mean, can you see the canceled orders? Yeah. Yo, like, why would it show it on the graph like that so that you can't see the graph? So I did have a sell order in at 28.64, which was, let me show you this. If you want to make a limit order, which allows you to choose a specific price, they do have these tools now. This is actually one slight improvement, I would say, that they've semi recently made on this platform. You can choose to like put in a limit order to say, like, I would like to sell at this specific price. And you can just hit one of these buttons and it'll choose a price that is 1% above where it's trading right now, or 5% or 10% above. So you can do that. So 10% actually looks kind of attractive right now because it would be just under 3,000. And typically what we see as with any asset, whenever it's approaching what would be considered to be a big psychological level, like the number 3,000 just sounds like a big deal. Selling just under that level is often going to be a pretty solid strategy, because a lot of times what we'll see, unless things are really going gangbusters and they have a ton of momentum, is that things will approach a big psychological level and then people will take profits. So then it'll drop below. So taking profits up here isn't a bad deal. I mean, I would be happy with this trade. Now the optimistic part of me, and generally I would say I am an optimist, makes me think that, well, maybe this terrible design had me cancel this sell order at 28.64 so that I'm putting in this other order at a higher price that would make me more money. But yeah, I think I will do this. I want to take some profits. So, and I want to swing trade this a bit so that I'm buying back, as I said, here I was buying back just below, just above, slightly above 2,700. And I want to do that. I want to trade this a little bit more actively. I'm wondering if there won't be a lot going on in Ether actually over the next several days. More volatility because it's not propped up by hedge funds and private equity firms, conventional investors, and the way that Bitcoin is. So therefore, more opportunity to make profits if you're more actively trading. What you need is liquidity and volatility to figure out a way to make money. And I'm thinking that Ether might especially have both of those things in the next few days, which means it's going to be, and this was intentional, although I didn't know that Bitcoin would be hitting highs specifically like in the last couple of days. But yeah, the course is closing, as I mentioned, tonight in a few hours. And this could make for some fun trading as we start the course next Tuesday. Next Tuesday is the first day of the course. So all that said, yeah, I think I will put in a limit order here. And yeah, the other marginal improvement on their platform is that when you're putting in a limit order, you can just hit these buttons to choose percentage gains and percentage increase at which you'd want to sell, as I said already. But down here, you can also choose like how much of your position you want to sell. And so they have buttons that allow you to sell 25% or whatever. So yeah, we'll do this. I'm being somewhat conservative. But put in a limit order for a little bit below 3,000 for 25% of the current position that I have on. So now that's in there, it puts this stupid thing on the graph, which would be useful to see if it didn't obscure the data, like if it were just smaller or if it disappeared when you were trying to look at the graph or something. Anyway, so yeah, we'll leave that on right now and we'll see what happens. But it seems like it is coming off a bit. I may also, this graph like wasn't, see, look, this is, it was actually showing you data in a more useful way not too long before I started this live. It's so annoying. This is a 15-minute graph. Guess I can just zoom in way more. Why does the data look like this? I didn't change any settings. There's no reason for it to do this. All right, what I was trying to get at though is that I think I might put in a limit order for a buy as well. and I thought I'd try and pick a level. I would love to be able to use graphical data to do that, but it's kind of hard when I can't really read this graph. And I also, like I touched on too, the larger piece of this strategy or whatever is that, like, at the end of the day, I think Ether's going to go up a lot. I think it's going to test its all-time highs of around almost $4,900 a coin. So when I'm doing these sort of short-term swing trades just to take some profits, I don't ever want to lose sight of that. And I don't want to let these shorter term trades get get in the way of this sort of larger trend that I feel very confident is going to happen sooner or later, but perhaps sooner, because now we don't have these like encumbrances getting in the way, like Trump's tariffs and him making decisions that are driven seemingly entirely by his narcissism. So they're hard to predict. So I don't want to be taking profits below 3,000 and then like missing an opportunity to buy back at a cheaper price to make sure I'm still in. Like I want to make sure that I have as much of my money in Ether as I can if I'm confident that it's going to be testing all-time highs, which I am. So I don't want to get caught in a trade where like I can't buy back at 2,700 or a lower price because it's starting to just get going. Like if it just starts running up, I'm just going to put in a market order to hit the price and whatever it's at to get back in. But since it's not really doing anything right now, it's slowed down a bit since its little run up a couple hours ago, or 2.5 hours ago now or so. I will put in a limit order, and let's see. We can see my order history when it just made me cancel that order because the design is bad. I had a buy order in at 2687. So that was a little bit above, more than a little bit, midway between like 2675 level and 2700 level. I just hit like the 1% price button, I think, to like tell it to determine a price, and that's what it came up with. So it's at 2709 right now. The fact that it's just kind of hanging out over 2700, I don't know. I just want to make sure I get the rest of this back on. Like the money that I have in fiat currency, I want this in a position if it's going to go, as I was saying. So, maybe I'll put another smaller limit order in, like a little above 2,700. I'm not sure though. And when I don't feel confident, I often just don't trade. And I've found that that serves me better because the price is kind of eroding a bit, but it's staying above 2,700. Huh. Yeah, I'll put some of the position back on. I'll try to at like 2701 or something. What is this? You can also just type in the price. We'll go slightly above 2701.10. All right, so I'm gonna put this limit order on. It's eroding more though. We're already back to almost 2701. Yeah, so let's just chill for a bit. If it drops below 2700, it might drop more so. Yeah, check that out. So like I would have gotten filled already because it dropped below that price. So I'm glad I waited for that 10 seconds. Yeah, so now if it's slipping below 2700 because that's going to be something of a psychological level, it may slip more quickly. So now I'm thinking, I'm so frustrated with this graph. Have I alienated you completely because I've complained about it so much yet? See, look, why does this graph look better? Isn't that so strange? Still the 15-minute graph. I mean, I thought I'd zoomed in. Okay, so I can actually look at this graph and like glean some information that can maybe help me out in choosing price levels. So it's slipped below 2,700 as we can see. looks like there's a bit of a price level. Yeah, right around 26.75. So maybe I will put a buy order in there, a limit order, like just below 26.75, maybe 26.76. 25% of what I'm able to buy. We'll put that in. Okay, so now it puts that thing on the graph that obscures the data. But we'll see what happens. Now I'm getting addicted a little bit. It's making me want to trade this more actively. That's the thing about, like, because I used to be a day trader, and day trading is such a specific type of trading because you just stare at the markets for 8 hours a day. And I don't know, it's weird. It's a weird job in that way. So it can be really boring at times, and then there's like a danger of over trading because you're bored. But then also, if you're staring at the market all day, you can make decisions that aren't programmatically possible. Like when people talk about machines being good at trading, yeah, there are algorithmic traders that made money, that would scalp, that would make tiny amounts of money on a bunch of trades, and that would add up a lot over a period of time. But I still am very convinced that there, like, when we're looking at a thing that's actually moving in the way that it is, largely because of humans, right? Like this idea that the markets are this, I've said this before, that it's like a Ouija board of human emotion, people freaking out, people getting excited. When it's something that's driven by human emotion, humans are going to have an advantage in dealing with it, I think, at least in sort of like the more nuanced aspects of whatever that is. So what I'm trying to say is just so, like, staring at this, I could kind of see a lot a lot of trading, at least an equal amount of trading in my experience, to the analytical, the research side, like making sure you're only engaging with cryptocurrencies or stocks or whatever that you think are fundamentally worth engaging with. The other half of that is as important is intuition. And so I rely on that a lot as a trader, and it helped me out a lot of times in sometimes difficult trading situations. So mathematically, it may make sense that something is going to hit a certain level. There are different bands that people will use to get a sense of where the price might hit. Um, but it doesn't always do that. And if you're actually staring at it, which most of us don't have the time to do, this is the realm of day traders again. Sometimes you can feel the thing happening and get out of it or take advantage of it in a way that is really beneficial, that isn't necessarily what the graph would have told you to do. You can kind of feel it. So anyway, I don't know. I now I'm feeling like staring at this for a little longer. I have more energy too because I'm getting excited. But yeah, if this slips too much, I'm gonna pull this limit order. If it gets too much closer, I'm gonna take this limit order off, I think. Because, like, since this spiked relatively quickly, like in a pretty short time frame, just in the last 2.5 hours, it could also come back down as quickly. And it looks like the lowest levels were around 26.50. So maybe, I mean, if I could buy in again at like 26.50, I'd be pretty happy with that. This top back here was 26.91. But then if this can't get close to this level, to this 26.76 level, I might just put in a market order just to hit the ask to make sure I'm getting in. And by that, I mean, I'm just paying what the market price is. This right here inside the market, we can see that there's an ask at 26.85, which means that someone has said they're willing to sell the numbers are moving quickly, but 0.1 ether at that price. So when you make a market order, you're hitting that price and you should get filled quickly. Yeah, it's coming down. Oh, pull in the order. And that's what you want to do whenever things are really moving, to try and make sure you get filled. Because a limit order may not get filled. It may never hit the price that you're hoping that it'll hit. And even if it does, it may not fill your order entirely. You could just get partially filled. With market orders, you're almost guaranteed to get completely filled, because it'll, even if it clears out everything that's offered at a specific price, it will fill you on like the next best price. See, like it bounced already. Let's look at a shorter term graph. Now it's already, see, this is printing 26.93. So what we see over here, this is the last price that a trade was actually executed at. But then we can see that the bid and the ask over here sometimes are quite different from what just printed. And people can kind of manipulate the ask and the bid sides. You'll see whales come in and they'll put in a bid that's off the market a bit, but you'll see it's for like a larger amount of ether. And larger size traders would do that to kind of try and mess with people, to make them think it's going to pop, but then they would just pull that limit order if it was getting too close to being on the inside of the market, because they didn't actually want to get filled. They just wanted to kind of scare the market up, if that makes sense. So we're seeing that a little bit more on the sell side here. They're trying to scare the price down. Yeah, I'm gonna chalk up the what I was annoyed about with this bad platform design to like the universe actually looking out for me by through this like annoying mechanism, because my original limit buy was right here, I think, at like 26.84. 26.87 actually. The sell order was at 28.64. Huh, maybe it's finding a bit of a floor here. Zoom in more. Let's look at the 1 minute graph. Go back to the 5 minute graph. Maybe I should buy around here. Slipping a little more though. Oh, we're back down to 82. Hmm. 79 on the bid side now. And it printed 80. Somebody actually executed a trade at 26.80.55 up here. But then look over here, like on the ask and the bid, like see how the prices. Well, now it's straddling the last tape price, the last actually executed price. But sometimes, as you'll notice, like the ask and the bid are going to be in a different range than the last price that actually printed, because somebody actually made a trade at that price. So now it just feels like where's the floor? Is it going to be around 26.75? Maybe a little lower? So there's this idea when you're trading, like, this isn't a great example because it hasn't been super rapid, but it's been fairly rapid in that this just happened in a couple hour time span. Fairly rapid for what's been going on in Ether recently. There's this idea that you don't want to catch a falling knife if the price is coming down like this and you're trying to buy, you're trying to figure out like, okay, where's the good spot to buy? Because if it's very rapid, you could just get cut. It could just keep going down through the level that you're buying at. And even if your idea is right overall, like it is going to retrace and head back up, even if that idea ultimately is profitable, it's going to be a lot harder for you to hold if you're buying at 26 81 and then it drops down to 26.50 if you're trading it, like more actively. If you're just a casual trader, you might not even notice a shift like that. But if you're doing what I'm doing right now, where you're staring at it, it's harder to hold. So like this seems like it's hanging out at this level though. It's been around here for a little bit now. I sort of want to put a limit order back in because again, the overall theme is that it's going up a lot. I believe it's going to go up a lot. I know that Bitcoin keeps making new all-time highs. I see that Bitcoin's pulling back a bit as people take profits. But I think, Bitcoin will decide to break its all-time highs again, probably in the quite near future, maybe even in the next couple of days again. And so I don't want to be on the wrong side of that. I want to make sure that I'm doing my best to buy in at the best possible prices I can. Yeah, look at this. Okay, now we got the color coding. It's showing more green, which means that more buys are happening. So maybe this is going to be the price floor and it is going to bounce off of this level. And because I'm swing trading, I'm not ever using my whole position at a certain, like I'm not putting everything on at a certain point. I'm using these buttons they added, which are kind of useful to trade portions of my overall position. And that can be uh, a less psychological challenging way to trade because you give yourself some room. You can take profits as things go up, leave a lot of your position on, and then in that way, if you're kind of moving through, uh, if you're trying to take advantage of these market movements and you're using like a swing trade philosophy, swing trade strategy, overall, the hope is that your position is going to gradually become more profitable, of course, so that like your average price will get lower, um, so that your profits overall are higher. So in that, relating to that, like if we look at my trade history, so I sold some at 27.24 as we talked about, right? And I bought back some at 27.02. So my hope here is that if I'm buying more at the best price that I can get in this area, whether it's 26.85, maybe I should get in because it does seem like it's starting to, yeah, I think I should. We'll try putting in a limit order first. We'll try to go like just inside the market. So it's 26.84. See, it's moving fairly quickly. Now it's back to up to 26.85. I wish there was a way to just make it like a bit inside the market. They should have a button for that. That would be useful. Now it's back down. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I'll just put it in 26.83 even for 25% of what I'm able to buy. We'll put that in, see if it gets filled. So yeah, what I was trying to say was that the idea with the sort of swing trading strategy where you're never completely exposing yourself at a certain singular price point is that through these trades where I sold some at 27.25 and bought some back at 27.02, now I'm trying to buy more the best price I can get here. 26.83, we'll see. Looks like maybe I won't get filled at that level, so maybe I should put in a market order to make sure I get in. But the idea there is that because I'm doing this, I've improved my overall position because the average price at which I'm in at, the average price of Ether at which I've bought at, is a lower price. So therefore, as Ether itself goes up, the position will be more profitable than it would have been if I, wouldn't have used the strategy. If I just let it sit, it could still be super profitable, which is really exciting. But if you have the ability to do some swing trading profitably, it can be even more profitable. and it can be fun. Yep, check it out. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I might want to hit this with a market order. Just to make sure I can get in. Not that it's moving that much. Maybe I'll just adjust the limit order. I wish, see, like, this shouldn't obscure the end of the graph. I want to be able to see what the graph says without having to zoom in this much. Anyway, so yeah, this has gone longer than I intended to already. I won't keep you. Yeah, I think I should just get in though. Like it's 26.89. I don't want to be on the wrong side of this. Here are my open orders. Yeah, I'm going to cancel it. I'm going to put in a market order and buy right here. So you see I got a partial fill and then it completed the fill. So it was right away, unlike with a limit order, which could potentially never get filled if it never goes to that price. So what price did I get? I got 26.92.26. So I'm already like a little bit in the money because it's continued up a bit. I want to see what it does at 27, if it bounces off of 27 and comes back down. If it does, that suggests like a short-term downward trend and maybe I can get in at better prices. You see how trading is addictive though? It is fun when it's going well. And this platform, like I was touching on like at the beginning of this conversation, this is a centralized trading platform by an evil corporation, created by an evil corporation. Gemini can go fuck themselves. And it is so similar to what I use as a pro trader, like a pro Wall Street trader trading stocks. That like there's no innovation here except that the asset we're trading is innovative, but the trading platform itself, it's just like it's the same thing. They just plopped the old financial system on top of these new interesting technologies because they don't have any actual creativity. And whatever, this does serve a utility, I guess, because in the current regulatory environment, it's like the only way to buy cryptocurrency with fiat currency, like the dollar. But I just have so little respect for the Winklevi. Yeah, I want to see what it does at 2700 before I make any more decisions about whether to try and get back in here. Because if it bounces off of 2700 and goes back down, I guess I kind of touched on this already, then maybe it's going to hang out at this slightly lower price level for a little bit and I can get better prices. But if it goes through 2700 and keeps going, then we can see that if I go on the 15-minute graph, like this is the pullback level. This is where it pulled back to. According to this, it was like 26.83. We saw it drop a little bit below that though. We can see that with this like thin line on the red bar here. So 26.79 or so. So it's, if it keeps going up through 2700, then I'm going to wonder if it doesn't start continuing up further than these sort of upper bounds here, because it didn't pull back that far. It didn't come all the way back down to 26.50, which is what it was at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. That's a bullish sign. That's a sign that it's going up, and that's going to tell me that I should just get in more before it gets away from me to make sure I'm taking advantage. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that, I guess. Although I'm probably going to stare at this for a little while longer. But yeah, the How to Build Abundance in Crypto course closes in just over 2 hours. The link is in the description. I'll put it in the chat too, in case we got some lurkers. If you'd like to join, it supports a good cause. It's effectively free, as I said earlier, because you receive seeds when you sign up. And we do it to sustain the Seeds Project so that seeds can help people in need around the world. And I am confident that I can offer a perspective that you're not going to find from anybody else who might be teaching a course. I don't even know what other like trading courses are out there, but I mean, crypto YouTube isn't a high vibratory place from what I've seen. Not that I'm on it very much. So, yeah, this is about the core mission of Seeds is helping us to transcend what isn't working in the legacy economic system. And Seeds allows people to build wealth through giving. And that's a core, it's a driving force in what is working to do that. Because if it's the giving people, I think I said this earlier, but yeah, to reiterate, if it's the giving people who are getting wealthy because they're helping others, isn't that a better economic system than one that, you know, like rewards people who are destroying the environment or ripping off their users or whatever, you know, like whatever, excuse me, not above board activity they might be doing. So that's what Seeds is. But I think we're early, even though Seeds has been around for a long time, and that's humanity, society hasn't shifted enough to, I think, really embrace an ecosystem like Seeds and allow it to soar, to support it through so that it's reaching more and more people. So to exist in the current reality until that happens, and I'm very convinced it will happen at some point, I teach this course and I enjoy it and I like training and it's fun to trade with others. And I want, not only do I want Seeds to scale, but I also want good giving people to know how to use the existing tools in the cryptocurrency sector, whether it's a centralized platform like Gemini, check it out, it's almost at 2,700 now. Or if we're talking about decentralized tools as well, I want to share what I know about how to use those tools so that you can benefit from them too. So, yeah, it's intended to be generous, it's intended to be helpful, and we would love it if that resonates with you and you want to join. That would be amazing. 2 hours to go until it closes, as I said, and I'm gonna hop off. All right, thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you later. Bye.